Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome once more to another video podcast of Porn News Today Live, brought to you exclusively from the PNT Live network. And remember, anytime you want to check on the archives of this particular podcast, just pop on over to pntlive.net. I'm your host, Alexandra Mayers. Today, I want to go over an article which was initially posted on the New York Post, which is titled, "Domestic Violence Victims Facing Higher Risks Amid Coronavirus Quarantine." And I personally feel that this is an article that women nationwide need to be aware of, because I personally have witnessed a young woman who has made her departure from the pornography industry and who is moving forward in her life, a woman who I've mentioned in the past, known as Bobbi Dylan. Today, she's an academic and a social media influencer, but a little bit earlier this week, she dealt with a bit of drama that actually, from my perspective, could have turned south very quickly. It was a very dangerous situation that she found herself in as she was trying to sever ties with a man who she came to the conclusion wasn't right for her, someone who she'd briefly dated and who she wanted to move on from, but who apparently did not want to move on from her. She gave this individual at least a month to find his own place, and at least from what she tweeted, it seemed that he wasn't overly motivated to do so. And the situation escalated to where law enforcement had to get involved. But before I share a bit of that situation, I do want to share this article with all the women out there, because it's very important that women realize that through this very trying time that all of us are experiencing, and I'm referring to the coronavirus pandemic, some of us may be in living situations that are not exactly ideal. However, it's important that you respect yourself, understand that no one has the right to breach your spiritual or physical boundaries. And if worse comes to worse, you need to document the situation, and definitely don't be afraid to get law enforcement involved. Yes, there's a rise right now in the cases that law enforcement gets called to investigate or interfere with, but especially if you are an American, you have the right to receive help from law enforcement. Don't be afraid to call for help. And yes, in certain situations, you may be treated as the aggressor, but again, document the situation, as you're going to see how Bobbi Dylan did just that. And any just judge out there, at least from my perspective, who would view the situation that Bobbi Dylan found herself in would definitely rule in her favor, because she wasn't the aggressor. She was the victim. So here's the article. Domestic violence victims trapped at home with their abusers amid the coronavirus crisis are in more peril than ever. At the same time, the courts have vastly reduced the number of protection orders they are processing. Family court went wholly virtual on Thursday, and staffing has been whittled to a skeleton crew, with just 3 judges handling all 5 boroughs via Skype hearings, down from the usual 4 to 5 judges, plus magistrates in each borough courthouse. This comes at a dangerous time for battered victims forced into close quarters with their abusive partners. Quote, "We have one woman who is calling us multiple times a week from her bathroom, whispering into the phone, praying that her abuser doesn't hear her," said Benjamin Segal, a spokesperson for the Met Council on Jewish Poverty, which operates a domestic violence hotline. The judges on duty, Mildred Negron of Queens Family Court Manhattan Supreme Court Judge Deborah Kaplan and Brooklyn Family Court Judge Alicia Aloris Alley are handling only a select few of the most serious cases. Quote, "Court resources are being stretched extraordinarily thin for multiple reasons, including that some judges are in quarantine and some judges have developed the COVID-19 and are struggling with the disease," said Docrin Ledholt, director of the Center for Battered Women's Legal Services at the nonprofit Sanctuary for Families. "We are very, very concerned because we know there will be an uptick in domestic violence situations as victims are in quarantine with abusers and afraid to leave their homes," she said. Under the legal triage, the standard for securing what is often the most immediate and vital reprieve for victims, orders of protection, has been raised to matters of, quote, "life or death." "We are worried about this standard at a time when victims are in greater danger than ever before. We are really concerned that victims may not be identifying their situation as an emergency when in fact it is." Now, if you would like to read this article in its entirety, you can do so by clicking on the link referenced in the description of this YouTube video below. But very quickly, I want to share with all of you some videos, actually some snippets of videos posted by Bobbi Dylan the night that she had to get law enforcement involved in her domestic situation. Now, this first video that I show you was after the law enforcement had arrived at her residence, and she outlines a bit of what she was contending with. Apparently, the man that she was in a relationship with breached her physical, sexual, and emotional boundaries one night. And honestly, what she describes in this clip, from my perspective at least, sounds like an instance of rape. Take a look.
Gave him a month to move on and get through, finding a place, even though it's like quarantine, everything going on. Gave him a month to find his stuff, get his shit together, and then it's the 30th, the 31st now, and like on the Friday, I let him share a bed because it was just easier than having him bitch and moan. And then he put his hands down my pants, and I'm just like, nope, none of that. Like, and then same thing next day after I yelled at him. It was just coming into my room again when he's not supposed to be in here. And I was asleep, and then I wake up, and boom, like, somebody's in there and I didn't remember it. So, just weird. And then, like, all the added bullshit. Because it's a dude. Like, some guys just suck, and they just think about themselves, and they just think that everything is okay until it's not. And then you're stuck in a fucking quarantine, and I've been trying to make everything as civil as possible, and I've been trying to just like bite my fucking tongue and not say anything, and just like keep everything civil and just do anything to get him the fuck out of here.
Now, in this next clip, you'll see that she was afraid for her life. She doesn't exactly say, but apparently the man that she was in a relationship with had access to a firearm, and she thought that the firearm was with him outside of her bedroom.
The cops ended up coming after 2.5 hours, and then they said that he called too, because I guess the whole time that I was barricaded in here, worried that he had the gun in here. It's mind-blowing. And so the cops put me in cuffs. I still have red marks on my fucking wrists.
Now, in this clip, you'll see that she explains that the individual that she was with most likely was dealing with some sort of mental disorder or mental illness, because apparently when she made it known that she was ready to end the relationship, he attempted to commit suicide or he threatened suicide. I wasn't exactly clear, but take a listen. And women, keep in mind that that's a red flag. If you're with a man who you're not happy with and you make it known that you want to leave and he threatens suicide or actually attempts suicide, that's not love. That's actually a very immature, self-centered attitude that most likely does require professional help.
So it's just like I ended up breaking up with Mr. Tambourine Man like over a month ago. He had just like a complete mental break on some medication, and I don't know. Who knows? And it's just kind of hard after someone threatens suicide and shit like that to see them a thing and go back into a relationship.
And lastly, in this clip, this is from an earlier podcast, but I want you to take a listen as to what this man claims about himself. He claims to be a security expert. He claims to know about weapons, and it just kind of adds to a little bit of the creepy feeling that at least I got from this particular man. I think that he basically caught Bobbi at a very vulnerable state, in a vulnerable instance of her life, because keep in mind, she has spoken out against organized crime elements within the adult entertainment industry. And I think that if she hadn't been in such a vulnerable state, she probably never would have even entered a relationship with this man.
Me?
I don't have a taser. We don't have tasers.
Want to taser me?
Yeah.
More than 350. Fuck that. And I rather get tasered than mace. It only hurts for a few
Mace
seconds.
is way better.
Fuck no!
I never been tasered. I've been maced.
As soon as you get tased, if you've been mazed but not tased, or tased, if somebody gives you the option to be maced or tased, I will take tased any fucking second of the
Tasing
day.
scares me.
It ends.
All I know is
It
kink.com.
is
They wanted me
immediately-
to do like the cattle prod. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here
No.
with that
And
shit.
also those, just so y'all know, as a real security expert, those little fake $20 little bzz
Stun
things,
guns, yeah.
those are just gonna annoy whoever the fuck you touch them with. If you were to touch me with one of those, all it would make me do is pull the fucking trigger. It wouldn't make me fall to the ground, not like the
Yeah.
movie. It would make me literally seize my hand and shoot you if I have a gun to use. So get a real goddamn stun gun that shoots like an X-26.
Tambourine Man, they say hi. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
see, tased
crazy.
over pepper spray any day. Pepper spray lasts for hours. Tasing lasts for seconds.
See, now if you get drunk, I didn't even notice the mace. And I got it in my septum piercing and everything. It was tough. But I was just like really drunk.
It
and
doesn't
didn't
matter
care.
where you get tased, and the balls wherever. I mean, the barb getting taken out's gonna suck regardless.
Take it to the neck.
But if you get
taste
tased, you're gonna fucking shake all over.
fucking true. Son of a bitch. He be cool, but can't shoot what you can't see. Bro, play me in 2K.
I'll play it in 2K and fuck you up.
I'll be doing circles. in the
2K20
background.
all day. I'll fuck you up.
Don't end up like Christy Mack with this weirdo.
I'm an overall
What happened
93%
with
right
Christy
now.
Mack?
Shooting guard, bring it.
So women, respect yourself, love yourself, and fight for your rights, because the truth is, no one's gonna fight harder for who you are than you. So thanks for watching, everyone. Once more, I'm Alexandra Mayers of the PNT Live Network. Have a great day.